Well, your monthly electricity bill can certainly be an aggravation. We have a new vocabulary word when it comes to electricity, aggregation. And we're here with Village Manager Mike Allison to talk about something that the village hopes that they can work on for us to get us lower electricity bills. So thanks for joining us, Mr. Allison. And,
thank you.
And by the way, that little aggregation joke, it wasn't mine. Lynn Deanda came up with that. Electricity humor
can we
isn't right.
use that though in the
You
campaign?
can use it. I think it would
okay.
help. But we've kind of got some good news going.
Right.
It's kind of complicated,
right.
But the whole gist is to get us residents and businesses here in town to have some lower electricity
right.
through buying power.
Absolutely.
Why are we talking about it now, though? What changed?
Well, what changed in 2010, the Illinois legislature passed legislation that allowed for municipalities to bring together, aggregate, households as well as small businesses into groups where you could go out for bid, meaning the municipality. And then, you know, because of that large aggregation of people, we could get better rates.
Okay, so kind of like the buying
right.
power, more of us to get
right.
together, and
exactly.
that's new then.
Yeah,
okay.
right. And now I should say, and I know you're going to get to this, but just a reminder, and I'll only say it 5 or 6 times, the whole thing with a referendum. This is
yes.
something that the voters decide on. This isn't something the village is going to unilaterally, you know, do. It's just we're enabling the process, and we'll see what people have to say on the 20th of March.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, we will get to that. And the idea is work together, get better, go out for competitive
right.
bid, and get us all a lower rate.
Correct.
Should we want
right.
to take advantage of
right.
it. But as you alluded to, before you can do that, there are some steps you have to do. And the first thing was the village board had to say, we're interested in that, so we'd
right.
like to put a question on the referendum.
Right.
So for March 20th, we are going to see a question before the voters.
Correct. And that question, well, I'll read it. It's kind of the difficulty in wording it, but shall the Village of Vernon Hills have the authority to arrange for the supply of electricity for its residential and small commercial retail customers who have not opted out of such program? And so what that means is the opt-out provision would be if one does nothing, and we're all busy in life. If you don't do anything, this referendum passes, next spring, summer of 2012, then you'd be in this program.
And theoretically, we expect you'll see a lower rate for electricity. So it's not a bad thing to be in this program.
That's what everybody is anticipating. That is really the only reason we're doing it, is to achieve lower rates. And when I say we meaning the Village of Vernon Hills, but also our neighbors to the south. And Buffalo Grove, I'll give them credit where credit's due. My counterpart, Dane Bragg, pulled together, let me get them all, Long Grove, Palatine, Buffalo Grove, Lincolnshire, and us. And Wheeling.
And Arlington Heights.
Wheeling, and Arlington Heights.
Yeah, it's a nice big group.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's about over 250,000 households, and that's a great group. We feel that we can achieve savings by a group that size.
Because that's going to be a big bid if you go out for that
Absolutely.
and say, what are you going to give it to us for?
Exactly.
That's a lot of buying power.
Now, people are probably wondering, you have at home, I'm sure you have too, received all these solicitations from whoever, Constellation Energy, Integris, I can't even think of it. There's, I probably received 7 or 8 different companies on multiple times. That's an option you can do. Those savings typically have been less than what municipalities to date have achieved.
What kind of savings are you
Well,
thinking?
the savings I've seen, some of the highest I've seen independently, let's say on one's own, is maybe mid to high teens. Municipalities, and this is today, again, electricity to some extent is like a commodity, like gasoline. You drive by the gas station, up and down, mostly up. But that has been mid-20s.
Okay.
There's been some municipalities that have achieved like mid-20s in savings.
So I would think with a group like this, we could be hopeful that we would be you know,
It's
be able to pull
possible.
something
It
off like
depends
that.
what the market's like.
Yeah.
I've heard these bids, and it's kind of interesting. Again, it's a commodity. Is that literally your bidder is on the phone right before the bid, making a determination what they're going to put down on a piece of paper to give you. So that's
There's
how
some wheeling
it works.
dealing
Because
going
it
on,
really
yeah.
is at the last minute. What
Okay.
is the market saying on whatever date this would be? Again, assuming the referendum passes.
Well, yeah, and let's talk about that process, because the village board had to say, yes, we'd like to pursue. Let's put this wording on the ballot. We need people to vote on March 20th
Right.
to say yes to that question, or you can't do anything more.
Right. And again, I should say, because we're using village funds here, that is purely up to, we would urge
Oh, I'm sorry,
people
yes,
to,
I
we
can't.
would urge people to vote. Whether you vote yes or no, again, it's, you know, it's a determination that you need to have as an individual, as a homeowner, if you're going to save money. And you can take a look at all the articles.
Right.
Cranes has had a number of articles, the Tribune, the Sun-Times, the Daily Herald about it. It's been on TV a number of times. So it's important to go out and vote and express your, you know, opinion on it. And again, it's a function of we're trying to get lower rates by doing this grouping or aggregation.
Now, other municipalities
Correct.
have already gone out and
Right.
voted, and some local ones where I see Fox River Grove, Grays Lake, Harvard. So
Right.
we're kind of on the cutting edge, but there's been others before us that are working
Oh,
on this.
absolutely. We're not the first ones, and we wanted to wait to see. You know, we got our group together, our group of 7 municipalities, and you know obviously the timing is all geared towards an election. They happen to be in the election. I think they did the general election of 2010
Okay.
in November. Some of these
In November.
municipalities.
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha. Well, so now we talked about hopefully the benefit, assuming the referendum would pass, the benefit would be the lower rates, but really no difference as an electricity user.
Right,
On my end,
right.
what I'm going to see, same
Right.
level of service
It's-
through
right.
ComEd. ComEd is
Right.
still the service provider.
Yeah, because really ComEd now is a transmission and distribution company. They go out through and I don't understand all the details, but through the Illinois Power Authority, they purchase electricity that they supply you if you're not buying it specifically from someone else. So they're not a transmission. They divested themselves of that part of the business a number of years ago. So your bill typically is 65 to 70% of it is the supply piece of it.
Okay.
Now that's the only piece you get a discount on.
Okay.
In any of these scenarios that we've just
So
discussed.
it's the actual
just-
energy portion.
Right. So you can't, if we achieve a 25% discount or 20% or 15%, you can't take that against your, $150 summertime ComEd bill because it has taxes on it, it has a distribution component on it, and the transmission part of it, distribution and transmission piece of it. It's only the supply piece of it which is the lion's share of it, though.
Well, I was going to say, any discount anywhere, we don't sneeze at that.
Right.
So, now you had mentioned, those solicitations, and I know you've got a lot of great information on the Vernon Hills website.
Right.
A lot of details about what this is going to be, how to do it,
Right.
other things to look at. And I know two of the questions you said, if you're looking at those individual solicitations,
Right.
that you as an individual
As a
household,
homeowner, right.
yeah, those that you should watch for the length of contract and any termination fees.
Right.
Because if you do, then if you wanted to do it for a while and then see how the village comes out, you could come in
Right.
later then too if you had to hold the contract for a while.
And I think the one assessment a person can make, and again, we encourage people to take a look at that. I know it's interesting meeting a couple of my colleagues of these other municipalities said, well, did you take a look at it? Have you done anything about it? And none of us yet have done anything personally at our homes about it. But one thing you could look at is if you do it right today, we're speaking here in the middle, not the middle, but first part of December, if you wanted to go on, I think you can do it as quickly as maybe January. You have to kind of assess, let's assume we get these prices and things get into gear, again, if the referendum passes in May, then you have to ascertain, well, for 4 months, I'm going to save money at, it's one of those great student math problems, right? If for 4 months I save at 16%, how does that compare to saving maybe, I don't know, but maybe for 20 months at 21%.
So you got to see if it's worth
if you
it to
care
you.
to do that kind of math, you can figure it out. And if it's better for you, if you feel, hey, I'm going to take a chance and wait, or I'm going to, do it immediately right now because I can save it.
I can
right
see it
in
and I can
January.
save and get it done.
Exactly, and get it done. And then most likely, of the ones I've seen, I've looked at maybe 10 or 15 of them. Most of them do have a buy-in for a year at least.
Okay.
So just so people are aware of that, you're bought in. And any referendum and aggregation that we would do would not negate those contracts.
So you'd have to keep
still
your contract.
in that contract for the duration of the contract.
Okay. And
Just so people know that.
That's a good point to keep in mind. And when, assuming the referendum passes and we get this going, there's like a decision point that we will have, and you'll communicate that with us more. But you can opt out, say, I'm not interested in being
right.
part of this.
I like company XYZ, or I signed a contract, or I want to stay with ComEd because I'm just comfortable. I don't want to do
So I'm going to stay.
That's
you
fine.
can opt out.
You can do that.
Or you can do nothing, and then you end up with the rest of us.
You're in the
hopefully,
aggregation
yeah, and hopefully
then.
that
Right.
aggregation gives us some benefit there.
Right.
And then the third way is they talk about renewable energy
Right.
or greener energy that
Right.
you could ask for that. And and
Right.
it says there might be you could possibly ask for that, and if you
Right.
do, it could be a higher rate.
Everything we've seen says it's a higher rate, and it's generated by typically wind farms or hydroelectric, although in our area there's not too
probably
much
more
of that. So it would be mostly wind energy in this part of the country.
So
you
it's
can opt
interesting.
that, but we're going to look at that as an option.
And we'll know
people.
more as we get through this process and you get to
Right.
the end. There'll be more detail when it gets
Right.
to, because we still have to cross some hurdles. The first being March 20th is
Right.
the referendum day.
Is the date of the election.
Okay,
Correct.
and that's the day there'll be the referendum question, and it'll be on for all of these municipalities. We're all going out
Correct.
to vote on that. And
We've all passed resolutions in all 7 municipalities.
so the hope is, well, we can't tell people how to vote.
Right. But the hope is that it is approved in all those 7 municipalities, including Vernon Hills, of course, and then we have the opportunity to bid out and see what kind of discount that we can
Well, that'd
get
be some
from
good,
current rates.
yeah, that'd be some good buying power. So one would think there's not really much of a downside.
No, well, in the future, and again, this isn't a reason, it's the reason to be against it, but in the long term, meaning in the next several years, there is, I guess you'd describe a tipping point with ComEd, where at a certain point, if enough people are successful in this aggregation, there will be a point several years into the future where ComEd then would have a commodity rate, as I understand it, and it would be, like we talked about, similar to buying gasoline at a gas station, where it's what the market is. Today it's controlled a little bit differently, but in the future then it would be, but that's the
That's
future.
in the future.
And
For
that's
now, it
probably in
sounds
the
like a good
future, and regardless.
Well, it sounds like an interesting concept. There's a lot more information on the website, including there's a couple of great websites that you pointed out, one from
Right.
Citizens Utility Board, one from Cub Energy Saver.
Yeah, both of them are run by the Citizens Utility Board.
Oh, they are?
Yeah,
Okay.
both of them. But one is a .org site, and
Okay.
another one's a .com. The one site gives you all those companies that are licensed in Illinois to provide this. So if you want to
Okay.
check if Integris, which I happen to know is, and Veridian, and just to name a couple, they're on that list. If you just want to make sure they're licensed to be a reseller of electricity in Illinois, you can go on that one Cub site, that very long address. And then the other one is to help you save in your energy, to do like your own household audit.
Kind of an
They're
analysis.
both very helpful websites.
Yeah, well, this all sounds really interesting. I know we'll tell people more as we go forward. So right now, the goal is educate yourself, you know, so you understand what everybody's asking you to do, and then we just have to make sure people come out and vote on the 20th of March, because I know sometimes, you know, that's a little low.
Right, so. It's a primary, and you know.
And people should watch. By the way, on that one, the county did send out new voter registration cards. Your polling place may have changed a little. Look that up. You can go online and find that stuff out too. You can check that, you know, from your home computer. But the most important thing is get out and vote, so we can speak about what we want to have happen and then move forward on this. So, so if people want more information, go online, and I know you guys are available to answer questions
and they
too.
can contact me, and I can speak some more. And I'm sure there's a lot of questions we don't have answers to, and we can. And those are great questions to get to receive. Then we can look them up and disseminate that information for everybody.
Good. Sounds good. So we're talking energy aggregation. We'll talk about it again with you as we get closer and closer into the referendum time, and on into summer, when we hopefully can be saving some energy costs. So thanks for joining us, and everybody go online and make sure you're ready for the vote. Thanks.